Welcome to Wednesday. It is June 12th. Yes, dozen days into June. Today we're talking about why Ford CFO said he's worried EV charging alliance and Starbucks is hitting Hollywood. I mean, kind of already at Hollywood, but different kind of way. Different kind of way.
Different way. Less activation-y, more, you know.
Yeah, more spending a lot of money.
Spending
a lot of money. Well, hopefully I don't know if it's a money-making venture. We'll talk about it. I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
something like that. Something like that. It's been a weird start to the week. I feel like there's I don't know. I just feel like the tone, maybe not.
You know
the tone feels very like mellow, not mellow, but like monotone to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I think like in the ASOTU world, we go through these like phases.
That's exactly why. A second
full
you said
throttle, or like we're in like second or third gear right now. Like we live kind of the world. We live the world of like being in fourth or fifth gear.
8,000 RPMs.
Right. We're like in fifth gear redlining most of the time. And we like pulled back to like second and third, and we kind of shift right now. And so that's just what it feels like.
It is. It's kind of a time of retooling. We have some fun announcements coming up about the NADA show and what's going to be going on there. We can't wait. By the way, if you want to partner with us for the NADA show, last year was a ride. The last 2 years. We're going to have something for you soon. That's going on. More Than Cars is kind of like in this like simmering mode. Like we're moving a few things around and we're trying to get retooled for that. I guess that's probably why. I mean, yesterday there was some stuff like, Haig's letter to, open letter to Tesla. Like that was kind of a thing, and people talked about it, and they did a great job with the letter, started some great conversations. I think we're not covering the story, but the Elon Musk pay package vote is today.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah. If you don't know what's going on, basically, the government is saying like, no, the board couldn't have given him that sort of pay package. And all that.
It was like a $55 billion. I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but over a lot of years, and it was tied to actual performance benchmarks that were hit. And so apparently he came out yesterday and said that 90% of retail investors voted in favor of giving him the pay package. Wow. And so it's like the big institutional investors own about 40% of the company. So there are enough retail investors to like push it through, but who knows? I don't know. That's not even a story.
Not even a story.
It is a story. It's not even a story in the show. We're just things we're pondering these while we're falling asleep. We do have a webinar coming up on June 26th with our friends at Activator. This is our quick shot ASOTU Edge webinar, 20 to 30 minutes tops. Kyle and I will be there. We moderate our way through it. We're talking about reawakening your dealership, talking about understanding shifts in customer behavior, how to leverage your own data to do that, how to build trust in customer-focused marketing by using your own data. It's a whole thing. If you want to learn something, like show up for 20, 30 minutes in the middle of the day, 2 p.m., well, depending on where you are. 2 p.m., June 26th. You can sign up for free at our website, asotu.com.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's
get
go
into it.
All right, let's get into the story. All right, so this is this is kind of something that everyone's feeling already, but now it's interesting. The Ford CFO John Lawler has expressed concerns about rising inventory levels across the industry, emphasizing the need for careful monitoring of supply and demand. So basically, he said Ford's dealers their goal is that Ford dealers have a 50 to 60 day supply on the ground. He said excess supply is going to hurt pricing, though Ford hasn't yet been affected. We've seen some other OEMs. Stellantis note have a large day supply. Pricing is being affected. So he says this. This is a quote from the Ford CFO John Lawler. It worries me that the stock is building. One of the pitfalls you can run into if you're pushing product that there isn't necessarily what the consumer wants, it's really tough to move. This is fun. Within Ford, we call those ones with pink polka dots. That's what they say if it's not specced, right? Oh, that one's got pink polka dots, right? It's great. It hasn't been a contagion on us yet. We're still seeing strength primarily because so much of our product is new. So right now, the industry average day supply at total is 76 days at the start of May. So we'll see we should have data on June pretty soon. And notable, Lawler is transitioning to vice chair next year to focus more on strategic initiatives, while Sherry House will replace him as CFO.
Yeah. Tell me something I didn't know, Mr. Lawler. But
I'm surprised he said it. Yeah.
I am surprised he said it, especially with some of the domestic brands having the most trouble when it comes to inventory and day supply.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with some OEMs carrying 20, 30-day supply, even arguing that your brand should have a 50 to 60-day supply of new car inventory is aggressive. Like, I mean, so many, this is what's so weird to me, that in new cars, we feel like there is like kind of a standard to be okay with in that 60-day supply range. Yet so many dealers are on a 30-day supply or less in used cars. Like, understand that profitability in used cars comes from somewhere in that 20 to 25-day supply.
Yep.
And some people even have like 30-day cuts on inventory just to maintain that. But then on new cars, we're like, we can be a little bit laxed on it, and that'll help profitability.
Yeah. Right? I think on new cars, man, I think part of it is that like when people buy a new car, they expect to get the package they want more than a used car.
Yep.
Right. So I think there's an argument to have a little more variety just in the US, right? It's our culture that you want to buy it. You want to drive it home right away, as opposed to like Europe or during COVID times when it was like, well, I'll take the one they have or I'll wait for it. We don't like to wait. And, I think, Ray Charles could have seen that inventory was coming back in COVID time, but everybody was hopeful.
Yeah. I mean, well, the other thing about this, and I think this is where dealers and even some tech partners in the industry, and actually a birdie told me that Ford is actually working on this at leveraging the combined inventory within the US to make sure that your day supply stays low is super important. Actually, one of the gentlemen that's now on board at Morgan, he's running a lot of their tech stuff. I met him at DMSC last week. And one of the things that he's looking at is, how do we look at our inbound stock as compared to the stock sitting at other dealers and basically merge those as our available inventory and leverage each to make sure that we have pace on pace on our wholesale numbers so that we're getting the right inventory, but also that we recognize, hey, if the inventory is in the market, we have access to it. Yep. We just have to leverage other pieces of our inventory to get access to that. And I think that if as an industry, we can figure that out, we can actually reduce day supply across the board.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that means if you do that, I think dealers are like, you're always worried about that competitive edge of having the right cars.
Sure.
Right. Yep. But at the same time, like control over the right cars is feels like it's more uncertain than ever. And like dealers that have a strong other value propositions, like their marketing, their experience, their brand reputation, don't have to worry about that as much, right? Because people are like, I want to buy from you,
right. Which
builds the case for brand, doing new things. Speaking of, this is a great segue. You're talking about collaborating. Speaking of collaborating, this is a good one. We covered this story when it first kind of broke. It was like a year and a half ago, but Ionna, IONNA, an EV charging joint venture by 7 U.S. automakers. So it's BMW, GM, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes, and Stellantis have announced their headquarters will be in Durham, North Carolina, right by our friends at Reunion, or close there, and is expanding its leadership team to support the ambitious goal, including adding executives formerly working for EV Connect, massive charging network, Rivian, Lucid. Their headquarters are going to be Durham, North Carolina, with a central lab connecting to interoperability and customer experience centers. So like everything's going to be in one place. Their goal together is to install 30,000 chargers. Oh, I'm going to hit it. Oh, wrong one.
You were close. You were close.
I was. Year 2030 is back.
Yes.
Their plans to install over 30,000 chargers by the year 2030, which is about 6,000 a year if you can do basic math. As a note, right, the most chargers ever installed in a year by the undisputed charging infrastructure leader, Tesla. They've only installed a maximum of 4,000 per year. So we'll see if they can increase that by 50%. It's going to support all the standards, NACS and CCS. And this is cool. Each station will have amenities, restrooms, food service, retail stores. Okay.
Duh. Let's go.
Here's a quote from, I think this is the CEO. I didn't put it in here. Mr. Stamati, I think he's the CEO. He said, the network in the US, if you compare it to other parts of the world, clearly needs work. It needs Ionna, and I like this, it needs a lot more Ionnas. So he's like, not just us, but it needs a lot more people like us doing the same thing.
It does. I think that that's the whole piece that we have to figure out right now, right? Like, I mean, if you just look at gas stations and the number of contributors to the gas station network, that it is way more than what we have in the charging network. Like no one company can own the entire grid.
No.
And so, yeah, more of these have to pop up. I love like the key thing for me here is that there's a lab that also is going to be connected to customer experience centers because they're going to do real world user data testing. They're thinking about how stations relate to what you do every single day. So restrooms, food service, retail stores. It's like, oh, great. So we're going to make gas stations, but just on a larger scale.
Yeah.
But it has to happen because until we get to a 10-minute charging situation, you need something to do while your vehicle is charging for at minimum 30 minutes on a supercharger. Right?
Yeah. So I like it. I like the collaboration. I like that it's going to be in North Carolina. I like that they're thinking retail. It's good. Speaking of thinking retail.
Stop.
Segue.
Time.
This one's close to our hearts.
This is, you know how we do.
Not because you like Starbucks coffee either.
No, not because I like Starbucks, but because of what they're doing. Starbucks has announced the launch of Starbucks Studios, marking its entry into the, guess what? Film industry as it follows the trends of brands venturing into production. We know a brand that's doing that.
Yeah.
Christy Kane, the vice president of brand and partnerships marketing at Starbucks, emphasized in a statement that Starbucks Studios is focused on producing content that fosters human connection and joy. Man, I don't know. Like, can we get a more than cars bumper here somehow?
I know.
So Starbucks is partnering with Sugar 23, founded by Academy Award winning producer Michael Sugar,
Best
who
lesson
said
ever.
It's absolutely good. Who said about the partnership and the story. He said storytelling is deeply ingrained in what Starbucks does. And Starbucks Studios is a natural extension of these efforts. Together, we will harness the power of storytelling to foster connections, inspire change, build a stronger sense of community. He said, we're excited to work alongside the incredible Starbucks team and invite all of our collaborators in Hollywood and beyond to join us in creating premium entertainment.
There you go. Look, this is another example of a brand understanding what they need to do to contribute to community, contribute to the feeling that they're trying to generate when people consider their brand or their industry, which is exactly the reason that we produce More Than Cars. And we're trying to get more dealers, more associations on board with doing this. Look, Starbucks knows what they're doing when it comes to ingratiating themselves with culture as an industry. We have plenty of community stories. We have plenty of stories of joy and progress and, turnaround.
You mean stories that could, foster connections, inspire change, and build a stronger sense of community?
Oh, pulled it right from the Starbucks quote. Something about that. I don't know. We think it's a good idea. We hope you think it's a good idea. Look, if you're wondering what we're talking about, just go to morethancars.tv, morethancars.tv. There's a couple of docuseries that we produced that might have done this stuff. We hope you join them, watch them, take care of one another. We will see you here tomorrow.